If you're serious about building wealth through real estate, then protecting your investments is non-negotiable. Imagine owning multiple properties, only to see your hard-earned investments being swept away. I'm Jeff Hampton, asset protection attorney and founder of STR Law Guys. In today's video, I'm going to share with you the powerful yet often overlooked strategies that can protect your real estate investments and the rest of your assets from greedy lawyers bringing lawsuits against you. Stick around, because mastering these strategies is the key to securing your financial future, and it will save you from a costly wake-up call. Let's start by identifying the fact that holding property in your personal name is generally never a good idea. Why? Because if something goes wrong on that property, maybe like a premises liability event where someone gets hurt on your property and then there's a lawsuit, who do you think they're going to blame? They're going to blame you personally. And if they blame you personally, that means your personal assets are at risk. So what are our goals when it comes to asset protection? Well, first of all, we want to ensure that if a lawsuit does arise from some type of event on our property, we want to make sure that our personal assets individually are going to be protected. But secondly, if we are sued personally for some unrelated reason, we want to make sure that our creditors can't get access to our investment properties. So how do we achieve this goal? Primarily, we want to use limited liability companies and land trusts. First, why an LLC? Well, we know that an LLC is known as a limited liability company. LLCs are entities that separate your personal assets from your business assets. Essentially, you want to make sure that you maintain control over everything, but you don't own anything. By using LLCs to place your rental properties in the ownership of that LLC, if someone tries to sue your rental properties now for some issue that happens on the property, it's much more difficult for them to try to get access to your personal assets. But what about a land trust? A land trust is actually a private agreement that holds title to real estate. The primary purpose of using a land trust is that, number one, it'll help create privacy in your transactions. But more importantly, it can help save you from real estate transfer taxes that exist in most states. It can also help you from loan problems that might come up with your lender if you have due on sale clauses in your mortgage. And then thirdly, if you ever need to refinance in the future, you're able to actually do so without having to pay those transfer taxes all over again. The big question I get asked all the time, though, is which entity should I specifically use to protect my real estate assets? To answer this question, we must first start with two critical questions. Number one, is there currently any debt on your property? Number two, is there any potential transfer taxes or tax reassessments that will take place on your property if you move it into an LLC? And these answers are going to be very state specific. So step number one, let's look to see if you currently have any debt on your property. Now, why does this matter? Because if you currently have debt on the property, we have to ask the question, do you have a commercial loan or a conventional loan? If you have a commercial loan, I'm not as concerned about that, because moving the property into an LLC, there's not really a concern about the due on sale clause where the lender could call your note due and make you either accelerate your loan to have to pay it in full or increase your interest rate. However, if you have a conventional loan, you better watch out, because most conventional mortgages have a due on sale clause where your lender could technically call your note due. Okay, let's hone in very specifically here, because if you have a conventional mortgage, the next question is, do you have a Freddie or Fannie mortgage, or do you have a non-Freddie or Fannie mortgage? Check on this, because it's very important. If you have a Fannie or Freddie loan, you can just transfer the property title directly into the LLC, and you will not have to worry about any due on sale clause. However, if it is not a Fannie or Freddie loan, now you have to be careful, because you could run into the due on sale clause with conventional mortgages, and the best way around that is to use a land trust. And I want to explain to that, and I'll show you the visual here in a second. But essentially what you're going to do is transfer title from your name into a land trust. And then you can do what is known as an assignment of beneficial interest from that land trust into an LLC, and now you will not have to worry about the due on sale clause. You say, but how is this possible? Well, back in 1982, there was a federal law passed known as the Garden-State-Germain Act. And it allows you to be able to do a transfer from your personal name into a land trust without triggering any type of due on sale clause. I want to just give you a quick illustration. Let's say you have a Fannie or Freddie loan here. Notice what happens. Property one can do a straight title transfer directly into an LLC, and it does not violate the due on sale clause. However, what if you don't have a Fannie or Freddie loan? Now you've got to get rid of this option and you must move to this option. Which, what does this do? The property must now move from property one title transfer into a land trust. The land trust, you can then do an assignment of beneficial interest, which we'll talk about here more in a minute, but you can assign the beneficiary interest in that land trust into an LLC to establish some asset protection, and it will not trigger any due on sale clause. But our second concern here is not just the due on sale clause, but what about real estate transfer taxes and reassessments of your tax value on your property? Many states will impose a transfer tax, a tax on the transfer of your asset from your name into an LLC, or they will actually reevaluate the value of your property and make you have to pay more property taxes if you're not careful. So what do? Number one, we need to research local laws. Make sure, does your state have a real estate transfer tax? Is it possible they will do a reassessment of the property value on your property and now raise your potential property tax value? One example of this is Florida. Transferring your property from your personal name into an LLC in Florida can actually trigger a reassessment of the value of your property. This will result in you paying more in property taxes. On top of that, there is also a documentary stamps fee in Florida. So if you just do a direct transfer from your personal name into an LLC in Florida, you can end up paying a tax that could be over 1% of the value of your mortgage. So what is the strategy here? Well, number one, you need to make sure, does your state charge or do they assess a real estate transfer tax? And I'm going to tell you about 75 to 80% of states do it. All the popular short-term rental states, Tennessee, Florida, North Carolina, go up and down, California, New York, they all charge a real estate transfer tax. So the solution to that is you need to make sure that you use a land trust. So you move property from your personal name into the land trust first. Then you can do what we talked about a moment ago. You can assign the beneficial interest. It's known as an assignment of beneficial interest from the land trust into a new LLC in the state where your property is located. And now you will not have to worry about paying that real estate transfer tax. And you will also not have to worry about the due on sale clause. But you say, Jeff, why do I need to use a land trust? There are some inherent benefits to using a land trust. Number one, a land trust is a private agreement that actually allows you under federal law to do what we're talking about here, and it's not recorded anywhere publicly. So you, as the beneficiary on that land trust, can transfer your beneficial interest into an LLC, and there is no public disclosure. The best part about that is now you have a layer of protection and anonymity. So what are the most common mistakes to avoid in this situation? Number one, failing to check your state laws before you do a title transfer. Remember, you need to know in your state, does your state assess a real estate transfer tax or a property reassessment for property taxes? If so, be careful. If you fail to check on this, you're going to have a pretty ugly tax bill that's going to be difficult to get out of. And the other common mistake I see people make is trying to DIY this entire process. Remember, you're talking about thousands of dollars in potential real estate transfer taxes. You're also talking about potentially having your note called due with your lender. It's important that you get the right advice and you make these maneuvers the proper way so you don't trigger any unintended consequences. The best part is by following these strategies we've discussed today on this video, you can have the best of both worlds. Number one, you can protect your rental properties from being taken from you if you end up in a lawsuit, and you can also keep those greedy lawyers away from getting to your personal assets if something bad happens at your rental properties. We achieve this by using LLCs. But if you have conventional loans, we've walked through how you can use a land trust to avoid real estate transfer taxes, the due on sale clause, and property reassessments for your property taxes. Now, I want to give you a free resource to help you get started on your journey of asset protection. Check out the link in the description below and get your quick start guide on how to protect your assets today. Speaking of protecting your assets, if you're a multi-state investor and you have several rental properties, you want to make sure you protect yourself from greedy lawyers trying to take it all. Check out this next video where I break down the magic and the power of holding companies to protect not only your rental properties, but all of your assets from greedy lawyers in a lawsuit. See you over there.